give me 1 minute to double check that we are live, and then we will get started. And then we will get started. Okay, I need to join a Zoom, so give me a minute. I will join in a minute. Just give me a minute. I will join the Zoom meeting and then we will get started. I apologize for the delay. We just got the Zoom link kind of a little bit later than usual, so I apologize for that.
వల్ల
ఓకే
స్పోకెన్
సార్
ఇంగ్లీష్ కూడా స్టార్ట్ అయింది.
ఫిఫ్త్ క్లాస్ లో ఉంటారు, ఫిఫ్త్ గ్రేడ్ లో.
ఫిఫ్త్ గ్రేడ్. ఓకే. ఈవెన్ యూ నో రైట్ హౌ టు మూవ్ గో టు
ఐ నో
దట్.
సార్.
యా యా మీరు చూడండి. సో ఇఫ్ యూ హ్యావ్ ఎన్ ఇష్యూ దెన్ ఐల్ డూ ఇట్. అండ్ రెడ్మీ నోట్ 7 ప్రో ఇది ఎవరండి? ఎవరు ఏ
Okay, so we will get started now. I apologize for the big delay. Once again, bear with me, please. And we are about to get started once I start sharing here. Okay. Okay, I began sharing, so now I will go ahead and proceed with the meeting. Okay. Let's see. I'll just mute actually. Alright. So, okay. Alright, apologize for the delay, and we started now, so let's get started. Okay, English Unit 7. Today we are covering author's purpose, tone, and the reader's mood. Okay, and So let's learn with the Dixuchi Foundation. As usual, like we said before, we're an organization here to help you learn and grow. So please make use of it. Not everyone gets opportunities to get learning outside of school, tutoring outside of school. So just use this opportunity to gain as much knowledge as you can, because it will really benefit you in the future. Today's learning goals are to identify the author's purpose in a story, describe the reader's mood, identify the author's tone, and explain how tone and mood both work together. And these are just the usual tips for success. I think by now you guys get the tips for success because I go over them every session. But I'll just read them out really quickly here. Number 1, pay attention. Number 2, ask questions. Number 3, take notes if necessary. Number 4, visualize. Number 5, practice. And number 6, have a growth mindset. Whether or not you do the rest of the tips for success, you must have a growth mindset because that is essential to actually gain the most. So please, please, please have a growth mindset and just use this opportunity the best you can. So now we're going to start learning. So the big questions when you read a story are going to be, why did the author write it? How does it make you feel? And how does the author feel about what's happening? So these are better known as your purpose, your mood, and your tone. So we will get more into this in this session. So I'll go ahead. So starting with the purpose. What is an author's purpose? The author's purpose is why the author wrote the story. So as you know purpose means like the intent of something or why something is done. So in the context of a story, the author's purpose means why the author wrote the story. So authors might write stories to entertain, to teach a lesson, or express a feeling or idea. So there's many purposes that a text may have. It's not like there's one single purpose for every text. That's not true. Everyone can interpret a text in their own way, but usually there is some truth to an author's purpose. Like, it's not like you can come up with whatever you want and say, oh, the author intended to do that. No, it needs to be deduced from what the text actually tells you. You can't just make up your own purpose. So the author's purpose usually is pretty clear and obvious. There could be multiple purposes, but the purpose has to be make sense in that context. You can't make up your own purpose. The purpose is usually true. Like, there's usually a true purpose to why an author wrote a piece of writing. So we want you to be able to find what the actual purpose is. So to actually deduce, okay, what's the actual purpose of a text? So I don't have any notes on the screen to show you, but I'll just give you some personal tips from my experience analyzing texts and stories. So when you want to analyze a purpose, you want to ask yourself this one big question, which is, what is the author trying to do by telling us this story, right? It's not like someone just writes a story just for no reason, right? Maybe they wrote it to entertain someone. Maybe it's like a bedtime story, so they made it to entertain their child. When their child is sleeping, they're like, okay, I'll tell you this story to help you sleep. Or maybe they made a story to tell a story. For example, maybe it's a story of a freedom fighter. So maybe it's to uphold the legacy or respect the freedom fighter for their contribution to the country. So that's an example of a purpose. Or another purpose could be to persuade you about something. For example, maybe someone is very concerned about how the climate is changing, how there's a lot of pollution going on in the world right now. Or there's a lot of pollution in the world right now. It's growing very rapidly. So maybe someone writes a story or writes a text. It doesn't have to be a story. It could be like a text or a letter. These are examples of texts. So the author could write maybe a text to persuade the audience to take actions against climate change. So there's multiple purposes a text could have. and we need to best identify what the actual purpose is by going beyond what the author is saying and understand, okay, why does the author want to write this? So there's a video that will help you better understand this. So this is a video from Mind Blooming. So just getting it out there that this is under the YouTube standard license, so we are authorized to use it in this presentation. And here is the video.
Author's purpose. Purpose means intention. To know the author's purpose of a certain text, I ask myself, why did the author write this? There are three main reasons an author writes a text: to persuade, to inform, or to entertain. Spells P-I-E, pie. This helps us remember the different reasons that someone writes a text. Persuade means the author is trying to convince you of something or get you to do something. Let's take a look at how this author is trying to persuade people to come to his pet store. Dogs make amazing pets and partners. They are loyal and friendly. They are also very good with kids. Come visit our pet store and adopt a puppy today. So the author here is trying to convince people to come and adopt a puppy from their pet store. Some examples of persuasion texts are commercials, which can convince you to buy certain things, opinions that can also convince you of what the author is saying or believing, reviews, which also can convince or persuade people of a certain product or a service, and finally, advertisements, which can also persuade you to get or join something. When the author's purpose is to inform, that means the author is trying to teach you or give you information and facts about a topic. Let's take a look at how this author is trying to inform you about the Great Pyramids of Giza. The Great Pyramids of Giza are one of the 7 wonders of the world. They are located in Egypt. Most pyramids were built on the western side of the Nile River. In this text, the author is giving you information and facts about the Great Pyramids of Giza. Some examples of texts where the author is trying to inform you of something are textbooks, such as science or social studies, articles, like in magazines or newspapers, biographies, which the author is informing you about the life of someone important, recipes, in which the author is teaching you how to cook or bake something. When the author's purpose is to entertain, the author is telling you a story that you will enjoy. Let's take a look at how this author is writing a story to entertain you. Joey looked everywhere for his baby pet dragon. After 2 hours of searching, he finally found him under his bed chewing on his favorite pair of shoes. This writer or author wrote the story specifically for you to enjoy and keep you interested. Some examples of stories or texts that authors use to entertain people can be fiction books, fantasy, mystery books, or comic books. So remember, P-I-E spells pie, which will always help you remember the author's purpose of any text. P for persuade, I to inform, and E to entertain. If you liked watching this video and all my other videos, please subscribe and give it a big thumbs up below. Thanks for watching!
Okay, I hope that helped clear up any confusions you guys had about author's purpose. I think by now, I think you guys are pretty smart kids, so I think you should have understood that pretty solidly. So now let's go to author's tone. So the author's tone is how the author feels about the story. So the tone is shown through word choice, sentence structure, descriptions, and dialogue. And some example tones include playful, serious, hopeful, gloomy, and sarcastic. So, here, this is just like very brief overview of tone, but there's a lot more to tone than people think. So a common misconception is that tone is the same as mood, which it's not, which we'll explain further in this session. But I want to just make it clear that the tone is how the author feels about the story. For example, an author could be writing about, let's say, a war that's going on. So the author could say, like, the war is very, very bad. It's very evil to have war, and it's very unnecessary. So that author's tone there is how the author feels about the story. So the author's tone could be a negative tone because the author is speaking very negatively about war. So the author's tone could be very maybe irritated or upset. Upset is probably a more accurate tone, because how does the author feel about what they're saying? The author feels upset about what they're saying because they're like, well, there's a war going on and I don't like it, so the author is upset. So the tone is how the author feels about what they're writing. How can we tell the tone? Through descriptive words, logical appeal, opinions that they express, and sentence rhythm and punctuation. So for the descriptive words, let's say someone describes something as bad. Maybe they use words like evil or mischievous or horrible. So this is very okay. So this could mean that the author feels negatively about something. So you have negative tones and positive tones. So like then we get more specific. Well, what specifically are they feeling sad? Are they feeling mad? Are they feeling frustrated? So these are just some tones you can deduce from the words that they give. Also logical appeal. Maybe they don't explicitly say I hate this person, I hate this place, I hate this thing. They might express it through logical appeal, like very subtly, right? They could say like, well, I find it interesting. I find it a little bit strange why they do this. Why do these people always have this? Why are they always trying to do certain things? So maybe they have a pessimistic tone based off of the logical appeal. And then any opinions that they express, maybe they talk very positively about someone. They're like, well, this person is an amazing person. I really like how they interact and how they talk. So I really like them. So all these stuff, opinions, logical appeal, the descriptive words, and even the sentence rhythm and punctuation, like exclamation marks or question marks, these all together, they work together to convey a tone, that we can deduce a tone based off of those. So now here's reader's mood. So compared to a tone, where the tone is how the author feels, the mood is how the author wants you, the reader, to feel. So how the reader's mood is how you feel while reading. So when I say you, I mean the reader. So the tone is how the author feels about the writing, and the mood is how the reader feels about the writing. So the mood is generated. If you think about a mood is something that's like in the atmosphere, kind of, right? It's not like something someone says, right? Someone has a tone when they speak, and then how you interpret what they said is like the mood. So the mood is created by, again, word choice, setting, and events in the story. And some common moods include joyful, frustrated, sad, peaceful, and excited. So again, mood is like how you feel. So usually if someone's speaking very badly about something, that doesn't mean that you also will feel badly, or like you will feel like, if someone is frustrated, that doesn't mean you will feel frustrated, is what I'm trying to say. So they might talk bad about a certain person. So that doesn't mean that the mood is the same as the tone, right? So I'll give you an example. Like, let's say someone is talking very great about, let's say, a country, right? And if they're talking great about a country, that doesn't necessarily mean that you will feel the same way, right? Now, the mood doesn't come from your opinions, but the mood comes from how the author constructs the argument. So mood clues, we can figure out the mood by looking for clues in the story. So word choice, like happy words, mean a happy mood. A dark or scary words mean nervous or sad mood. And calm words could mean a peaceful mood. So mood is how you feel about the story. So when you're reading, you have to ask yourself, why did the author write this? What is his ultimate goal while writing this? That will tell you the purpose. Then the second question you ask is, how does the author feel about what's happening, right? What is their tone? And then the last question you ask is, what is the effect on the audience? How is this intended to make me, the reader, feel? So that tells you the mood. So we have a quick video to summarize mood and tone for you if you didn't quite get it. And then we'll get into practice. So this video is from Easy K-12 Lessons, and it's under the YouTube Standard License.
Let's learn about mood and tone in writing. Have you ever watched a movie that gave you chills? Or maybe you read a book that made you feel happy? Well, that's mood. But what about the way the author or director feels about the story? Well, that's tone. Let's break it down. Take a look at this table. What are mood and tone? Think of mood as the vibe you get when reading. What is the distinctive feeling you get? And tone? That's the way someone tells a story. Happy, sad, or even sarcastic. Let's look at some examples. The wind howled as Anna stepped onto the creaky porch. Shadows stretched long and eerie across the yard. The mood here is mysterious and eerie. But what about the tone? The tone is suspenseful because the author wants you to feel the tension. Let's look at another example. Lena skipped down the sidewalk, humming her favorite song. The sun warmed her skin and the scent of fresh baked bread filled the air. What are the mood and tone? The mood is cheerful. The tone is joyful. Totally different vibe from our last example. The author's words are super upbeat. Here's another example. Lightning flashed as David approached the abandoned house. His heart pounded. What's the mood and tone in this example? The mood in this example is tense, eerie, and suspenseful. The description of lightning flashing and David's pounding heart creates a sense of unease and anticipation. The tone is dramatic and intense. The author's word choices like approached, abandoned house, and heart pounded suggest that they want to build tension and suspense. Remember, mood is how you, the reader, feels. Tone is how the author feels. Now, go explore your favorite books and movies. What moods and tones do you notice? Thanks for watching. For more great content, take a moment to like and subscribe to our channel and visit our website at www.easyk12lessons.com.
Okay.
Let's learn about mood and tone.
Oops. So now you understand tone and mood very solidly, and you also understand purpose very solidly. So now let's get into our practice to finish off our session. So the text is The Stormy Night. So I'm going to read out this quick summary of the story, synopsis of the story, and then pretend like it's the author that wrote it. And excuse me. And then I want you guys to analyze what the purpose is, what the mood is, and what the tone is. Okay. Remember, the purpose is why is this text written. The mood is how does the audience feel, or how does the reader feel after reading the story or while reading the story. And then the tone is how the author feels about what they're writing. The evil army barged their way through our homes. They stole our goods like thieves and treated us as if we were foreigners. The world we live in is like hell. The only way out is through rebellion. A rebellion will ensure we get our rights back. So that's the story. I want you guys to take a minute and think about what the purpose is, what the mood is, and what the tone is, okay? And then we will regroup in exactly 1 minute, and then I will go over the answers. Okay, so finish up whatever you're thinking about, and hopefully you have your answers by now. And now I will go over the answers. So what is the author's purpose? The author's purpose is to persuade the reader to believe that the rebellion is the only solution. So how did I know that that was the author's purpose? Well, the author said the only way out is through rebellion, right? If we go back, he says the only way out is through rebellion. And he kind of creates a line of reasoning at the end. He says a rebellion will ensure we get our rights back. So he's giving us evidence, or he's giving us reasons to support a rebellion. So maybe he's trying to persuade us, because he starts by saying, well, they're so evil, they're so bad, and then he says we need a rebellion. So he sets up the premise for a rebellion, then he makes it clear that they need a rebellion, and then he gives a reason for it, because the rebellion will ensure they get their rights back. So from this, well, is he informing something to us? He's kind of telling us what happened, but there seems to be a little bit more going on than just telling us, right? He's kind of arguing for something. He's using very opinionated words like evil and thieves, and he uses very strong emotions here to prove an argument. So from that, I think the purpose is to persuade. And then what is the mood? Well, I think the mood is nervous or scared. That's how we feel. Well, why, you may ask? Well, look at the words he uses. He says, the world we live in is like hell. Hell is like very, you don't want to be there. It's a horrible place to be. So when you think that the world we live in is like hell, he's comparing the world we live in to hell. You feel like, this is so scary, right? I should feel scared if I'm living in a world that's so bad that it's comparable to hell. Then the world must be really bad, right? So that creates fear in the audience. And then what is the author's tone? How does the author feel about what they're writing? Well, we can clearly tell the author is very angry and frustrated. Because here he says, evil army barged their way through our homes, stole our goods, and he compares them to thieves. And then he complains how he's treated like a foreigner in his own country. And then he's like with an exclamation mark, he exclaims, right? He exclaims, he says, the world we live in is like hell. And then he says the only way out is through rebellion. So from all this, I can get that he seems pretty angry with what's going on. So that's the author's tone. So hopefully you did pretty well. And now that's it. We covered purpose, mood, and tone, which are very big parts of literature. Even I am in 11th grade right now. I don't know, in India you call it 11th class or something like that. I'm not sure. But here we call 11th grade. And we are actually, we are doing a lot of stuff with the purpose, mood, and tone. It's called rhetorical analysis. So understanding these right now will set a good basis for your future. So I hope you guys understood that pretty well. So just to review, how can we tell what the author wants us to feel? Well, we do it through descriptive words, what the author uses as his line of reasoning, etc., etc. And then how does the tone affect the mood? Well, oftentimes the tone can dictate the mood, because if the author is feeling angry, they might try to make you feel the same emotion by saying, well, this could affect you too, right? And they're very deeply intertwined. And then can a story have more than one purpose, tone, or mood? Well, yeah, it can have more than one purpose, right? Tone and mood, right? It depends on, there's so many, it's such a nuanced, literature is so nuanced, right? There's different shades of everything. So it can definitely have more than one purpose, tone, or mood. And how do the tone and mood work together? Well, the tone establishes what the author feels, right? And the mood establishes how you feel. So the tone will often dictate the mood, as discussed earlier. So that's it for today's session. I hope you enjoyed and learned a lot. Thank you.